Our top story today is about an alarming trend: rising food prices. From grains to cooking oil, the price of basic staples is skyrocketing around the world. The reason for this is the war in Ukraine and the droughts fueled by climate change. For countries, this is an alarming situation. Price hikes are worsening an already existing food crisis, fueling protests in several parts around the world. Let's take you first to Argentina. Thousands of farmers protested in Buenos Aires. This was against the president, Alberto Fernandez. His policies to curb inflation have been slammed by the agricultural sector. In the first 4 months of this year, prices in Argentina rose 23%. This includes a 6% jump in April. Things got so bad that people took to the streets. It is called the Federal March for Work and Salaries. They demanded jobs, security, and a basic living wage.
Familia tipo que se conforma por 5 personas.
A typical family made up of 5 people must spend around 80,000 pesos to survive. We see that Argentines do not earn that much money. They earn much less. So we are at a time in which the population is living below the poverty line, and many residents in Buenos Aires and the rest of the provinces are poor. This national march is to speak out on this.
Las provincias son pobres. Entonces, bueno, esta marcha federal un poco viene a mostrar esto.
Not just in Argentina, people took to the streets all across Latin America. Protests continued in Chile, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Colombia as people slammed the rising cost of living. In Greece as well, thousands took to the streets. Their complaint was the same: a surge in energy and food prices. Greece's annual consumer inflation accelerated to 8.9% in March, hitting its highest level in over 27 years.
The wages are meager in comparison to the rising prices at the current time. The people are exhausted. There is a serious problem here, and this crisis is bringing Greek society to its knees.
In West Asia as well, the situation is no different. Prices of some essentials have shot up by as much as 300%. The surge has triggered widespread unrest. Earlier this month, Tehran slashed subsidies on basic food items. New prices of wheat and flour were announced, and this is how the people reacted to this. These protesters are chanting death to Raisi. It got so bad that the president himself issued a response. He refused to restore the subsidies, saying that he will not shy away from making the hard choices. And in Sudan, protests escalated into violence. A protester was shot and killed in the Sudanese city of Madani as demonstrators marched across the country to protest a military coup. Sudan's currency has lost more than a third of its value since the coup, rapidly driving up prices for fuel, food, and other items. Global food prices started to rise in mid-2020. This was when businesses shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Since then, there have been problems with key crops in many parts of the world. The Russia-Ukraine war dramatically worsened the outlook for food prices. The United Nations Food Agency says prices hit an all-time record in February and then again in March. So the bigger question is, when will the prices come down? Well, that's hard to say. Agricultural production depends on hard-to-predict factors like weather. The United Nations says the problem of global food security cannot be solved without restoring Ukrainian agricultural production and Russian food output. The World Bank forecasts that wheat prices could rise more than 40% in 2022. The sharp rise in fertilizer prices could also discourage the farmers. And this could bring down the yields and result in lower production. And as the climate warms up, extreme weather is becoming more and more common, posing yet another risk to crop production across the world.